How's it going, everybody? My name is Artorigold, and today I want to talk about a little bit more of an advanced thing, and this is for all of the off support or even the support mains out there. This is basically going to go over how to play together as a off support or as a main support. In this video, I will be going over as a Zenyatta's point of view. On my team, I have the main support Moth on Ana, which is also a very famous Overwatch League player. I believe he and IHAP, I believe they're duoing. I believe they both play for San Francisco Shock, and on the enemy team, I believe Aimbot Calvin. So one of the things that I think is very important is that you need to be communicating with each other as the healers. Something that you need to be talking about is I'm getting dived. You need to hit that X button, whatever you keybind it to that says I need healing. You need to make sure that you have that keybound and you're going to be pressing it every time that somebody's going to go in and dive on you, and then communicate in voice chat that that's happening. The priority for your orb, there's actually a lot of different things that you can do, but the Harmony Orb's priority is to be on the squishy characters. You can put Harmony Orbs on tanks at the beginning because they're going to be the ones who are going to take a lot of damage in the beginning and nobody else is probably going to get hit. But the big thing about leaving your Harmony Orb on Ana especially is really good, because what does Ana have for self-healing? She has a grenade cooldown and that's it. Ana doesn't want to use her nade cooldown on saving herself. She wants to use it on the enemy team, and she wants to purple people. That's the power of the nade. Being able to purple someone basically wins you the fight or just secures a kill entirely on somebody. So keeping the Harmony Orb on that Ana means that she'll be able to just concentrate on using her nade on more important things, especially on tanks. It's really good on your own tanks to make sure they stay alive too. So I'm going to rewind a little bit. I want to go over this fight. So one of the things right here, I'm going to leave Harmony on Ana, and then on low health targets. Another thing that I want to talk about, I guess not necessarily in this fight, but something I want to talk about is using your Harmony Orb. Obviously, you want to keep it on the Ana first. That's your priority. If your Ana is hurt, you want to make sure that you heal her first. That is the priority, because Ana is basically the backbone of your team. So one of the things with Harmony Orb is Ana, I mean, if Ana especially is your main healer, and generally she will be in this meta, and probably in the next meta as well, is you want to make sure that you keep your Harmony Orb on the squishies first. Ana's job is she can heal people like Genji and Doomfist. It's not impossible for her, but it is a lot more effort for an Ana to scope in and to get a double jumping Genji or a Tracer on your team, because both of them have like tiny hitboxes compared to a tank, and they have a lot of mobility, so it's much more work in order to use the skill shot of the biotic rifle, or whatever you want to call it, of Ana's primary weapon. It's a lot more work in order to hit those targets. And it's just so much easier if you're playing like Zenyatta, for example. It's so much easier for you to just put a Harmony Orb on a target like Genji or Tracer and allow them to get the healing, especially because they just have such little health pools. It doesn't matter at all, right? Like, it's so easy to heal. It's so much better in comparison to an Ana trying to scope down on it. So that's kind of your job with a secondary healer. It's not necessarily the job with a Lucio. I mean, Lucio, you can heal a Genji and Tracer obviously pretty easily, but I think that you have to get a kind of close range and you have to play with it, and that's not exactly what you want to do with Lucio on the higher ranks. Now, if you're at the lower ranks as Lucio, that's much easier to do because you can be much more independent and frag and be aggro, but at the higher ranks, it's a much different game than playing lower ranks. And that's something I think that everybody will notice as you climb. Something that works at the silver level and gets you to the gold level will not be able to work on the diamond level, and will not be like, if you do the same things that got you out of silver to gold, right, and you take those things that you've learned and try to apply it into diamond or masters, then those things are probably going to be really hurtful for your team and not help you. A really good example of this is a Lucio or Zenyatta that plays super aggro at the lower ranks. I think playing super aggro at low ranks is really easy, and it's not that punishable, and you can get a lot of kills and value from your individual worth. But if you try to apply those things at the higher rank level, they're going to have a lot less value, because it's a lot easier to get punished from people that have really good mechanical skills. People that have really good mechanical skills are going to be able to kill you when you do these crazy things, and you don't have an escape, especially if you're doing a Zenyatta flank, if you're being a little like flank Yatta. And one of the big primary uses of Lucio especially is not his aggressive playstyle. I mean, yeah, you can get some really crazy good aggressive plays with Lucio, and occasionally it's really good calculated aggressive plays, but more often than not, it's better for you to sit back and peel for your second support. For example, as Lucio, what I was trying to do there is I was trying to just use my boop to make sure my Ana had as much space as possible so she didn't have to worry about staying alive, and instead could focus on healing the rest of the team and maybe even doing damage and purpling people. And so same thing with the first point. It's not as good because you don't have that many retreat options, but this is one of the locations as Zenyatta and Ana, we are both going to be located right inside this room. Very good reasons. First off, you get a line of sight right onto this choke point right here. So it's really easy to just shoot orbs right here and hit everybody. And at the same time, you get the good line of sight of being able to harmony orb any of the people here or here. You can't get anybody over here to the right, but you are able to just heal anybody. And another big reason about this is if somebody tries to push, they got a lot of space they need to cover, which allows your team to try and give some opportunity to go backwards and help you. But also my Ana is going to be back here, and we are going to peel for each other. We are going to heal each other, and while we heal each other, I'm able to do damage in Discord, and Ana's able to throw in some damage as well. So we're both being able to peel for each other, and another big thing is there a health pack? Like, there's a health pack right here, so both of us can play around this health pack when we need it too. So it gives us a little bit of cover. We can go inside this room over here, we can get a health pack, we peel for each other, and while we do that, we will have really good line of sight. See, I'm able to just like throw out some right clicks or whatever. I could hide into that room, charge a right click, and then peek out of it with my right click and not leave myself too vulnerable or exposed in the back in case there's somebody back here. As we can see, there's a Somber who's trying to be a little crazy. So Ana is going to be staying with me, and I'm going to stay with her as much as possible. At the higher ranks, you won't see healers pocket each other as much as they should be. At the higher ranks, healers pocketing each other is actually so good, because you need to concentrate on keeping each other alive. The longer the healers stay alive, the longer the rest of the team stays alive. It's basically the backbone, it's the support, it's the sustain that you provide for each other and for the team itself, and it's what you need to be trying to do at all times. So there's kind of a priority list when it comes to healing. I would say that your number one priority as a healer is to heal the other healer first, and then while you're able to heal them, they pocket you back in return, and it basically makes it very difficult, unless they have a Doomfist to one-shot you, that you guys are basically going to stay alive through any sustained damage, unless we're talking about one-shot mechanics. Widowmaker, Hanzo, Doomfist, those sort of things, or ultimate usage. But another thing to note is, after priority target, after healing each other, see back here, we're just gonna try and heal each other, retreat to the health pack room, and I'm able to use my Transcendence. Really nice Transcendence here on the Reinhardt, it saves it. I wish I could have used it a little bit earlier though. All around, it was really good though. Another thing, like I said before, that I'd like to just reiterate, you want to put harmony orbs on your squishies first and let your Ana do all the healing on the tanks. It is much easier for her to focus on a Reinhardt and Zarya, and it's much easier for you to focus on healing the Doomfist and stuff because they have a lot of mobility and are a lot harder to hit. However, this of course gets canceled out by things with low HP. If someone has really low HP, I would probably focus on healing them first. I mean, that's a given. But if a situation arises where your Ana can heal, if both people are 1 HP, I would focus leaving the harmony on the squishy, and then let the Ana try to deal with the tank. So, really good use of the point here. I don't think I was playing on the point. I was playing on the point a little too much there. I think I was playing on the point a little too much there, which was a mistake. I don't get punished for it, but instead of playing in the back room here, I get onto the point, which is kind of a mistake, because as you can see, the Genji dashes onto me right there. Luckily, I have full health, but I really don't like my positioning on the point, because the Diva was then able to dive me, and the Winston too. So all around, I think I should have stayed in this room. It would have been much better. I think going outside of that room was a pretty big mistake. I didn't get punished too heavily for it, but it definitely wasn't something that I should have done. I look back at that and I think that was the wrong move. Basically, it gave the enemy an opportunity to dive me. If they dove me at the same time instead of 1 by 1, then I definitely would have died. Because they went in 1 at 1, I stayed alive a lot longer than I should have. So here we're going to talk about the second point positioning, and this is very advanced. Like, every map is going to be different, but I think on 2 CP defense, you want to play in line of sight of your Ana, but also in an area where you're able to go and hide into the spawn door. You can go play by the left spawn door or the right spawn door. Now, there's different advantages to doing this. The left spawn door is a little bit more risky because in order to run back in a spawn, you have to run back in a straight line, and it's much easier for the enemy to kill you, especially if they have a Widowmaker who's able to just go right here. She has perfect line of sight of you. But if you're on the other side, there's a little bit of a corner or a right, like a 90-degree angle, and so as you go through that corner, it's much easier for you to be safe and sound while you retreat into that corner, so much easier to escape. Because even though the enemy can chase you to like around this corner in this area, it's much harder because, by the time they get to that position, you might already be back in spawn. This just gives you a little bit of extra space. So one of the reasons that I'm not playing at the spawn door in this instance is because I have my ultimate. So if you don't have your ultimate, you want to play in those spawn doors. If you do have your ultimate, you want to play a little bit closer so you have less travel time to worry about, so you can get to your team quicker and use your Transcendence. Your Transcendence does move pretty quickly, but you want to make sure you get full usage of your Transcendence ult, and by doing that, you want to get like really close to them so you don't miss out on a single second of that usage. So here I'm going to be playing really close up, and I'm going to fall down. I don't like my positioning quite very, I don't like it. Usually it's much better positioning up there because people can play at that little choke and at the door. We weren't really playing right there. We were playing more on the on that bridge there. I think it was okay because throwing out a volley down that tunnel is so good. But ultimately, I think I would have liked to be positioned next to someone. Otherwise, the Tracer probably would have been able to force me to use my ult, and that would have been a huge disadvantage. Also, one thing to note, another thing when playing with another healer is you want to make sure if you have your ultimate to give the ult charge or let your Ana heal. In this instance, we both have our ults, so it doesn't matter. But if you have your ultimate and your other healer doesn't have your ultimate, then you can just say like, all right, Ana, I'm going to let you heal them. You just go ahead and do that because if you do, you'll get more ult charge that way. And same thing if you don't have your ultimate, because every single point of damage you do and every single point of healing you do is ult charge. So make sure between your healers you can communicate with each other, and if you have your ult already or vice versa, you are able to get more healing in, especially if you're like not in any danger and your team's not going to die. You can just sit back and be like, hey, let me heal this guy so I can go ahead and get my ult quicker or build towards that defensive ult. It's something that's really good to do, and as long as you're able to have a mic and your other healer has a mic as well, it's very easy to pull off. It's definitely an easier thing to do. So here, I'm kind of in a bad spot. I'm going to use my Transcendence. Yeah, it wasn't what I wanted to do, actually. I think my Transcendence was pretty bad, but ultimately, it works out very well for us because... Oh, do I get him? No, I don't get him. That's unfortunate. I basically was forced to use my trans, but even in that situation, I think I should have kept faith with my Ana, and I think she should have been able to pocket me in that situation. And I think since there was only a Winston on me, I really wasn't in too much danger unless the Winston was going to use his bubble. If the Winston used his bubble on me, then Ana wouldn't be able to heal through that, and that would be a really bad situation, and then maybe I would use Transcendence to stay alive. On the enemy team, however, they just used Blade, so using Transcendence isn't that big of a... I know maybe I'm just trying to sound like justifying it, but it really isn't that big of an issue because I can build my Transcendence by the time Aimbot Calvin gets his Dragon Blade back. So back to the main issue. This is what I'm talking about around the corner. I'm standing right next to my Ana. I'm going to use my Discord Orb on the Hammond because he's the only one who's in. Charging up right clicks. Here, just retreat around this corner and pocket each other. You two are not going to die in this situation ever. You just stay in this corner, you can play back the spawn for safety, you heal each other, you discord the target that's going on you, and you're at, basically, both of you are unkillable unless it's a one-shot mechanic, which isn't going to happen from a Hammond, obviously, and you just are going to out-sustain him. Also, he's just a really easy target to sleep, which allows me to get a really nice volley off on him if he's, in that situation, I don't have to worry about it. Unfortunately, I want to analyze this. So where was my Ana? She was behind me. You know what? I think the Ana, and you can look at it, I think my Ana was sniping the enemy Ana in this situation. And the Winston actually did a lot of damage. What was my health at? I think my health was low. I think Ana hit me with a dart. So I get down to 60 health. And then I get killed from the jump and the melee. So I think that was pretty unfortunate. If I had my Transcendence, if I didn't use it the other time, I probably would have used it there. Here's a really good situation. What's nice about Discord, or Harmony rather, is that it will go through barriers, unlike Ana's darts. Your Harmony Orb, and not Discord. Discord doesn't go through barriers, but your Harmony Orb will get to somebody who's in a barrier. So you're able to save somebody like an Ana, because luckily I have Transcendence here. So another thing I'm going to look to do is I'm going to look to use a Transcendence. So I'm going to play around this corner. There's nothing you can do about that. The only thing I could have done was use my ult, right? In this situation, I don't think I wanted to use my ult, though. I could have used my Transcendence there to keep myself alive from the Doomfist. Ultimately, I didn't have to, but what I want to think about is if I should have used it or not. I should have. I absolutely should have. Let's look at this. I didn't take this into factor. Absolutely, I should have used it. And here's the big reason why, is because the game was almost over. It was 15 seconds left. 10 seconds left. Yeah, this happens, 10 seconds left and the game is over. So I might have thought that I was safe. In this situation, maybe I thought I was safe. I could get away. You know, obviously I'm right next to the spawn door. Maybe I can get around this corner in time. But I didn't, and I died, and I still had Transcendence, and there's literally only 4.8 seconds left in the game. I definitely should have used my Transcendence. I think that was a really big mistake on my part. I don't think I took notice of the clock. I wasn't paying attention to the clock, and I thought I could get out. If we had more time, even then, I think it still probably would have been alright to use my Transcendence. Ultimately, I think that was a really bad Transcendence usage. I take that back. Because it was overtime, I definitely should have used it. So that was my mistake, guys. That was my mistake. So, in summary for this video, if you are a main support or a off support, you need to prioritize staying next to your other healer, and you need to pocket each other, especially when there's a lot of flankers and one-shot potential such as Genji, Tracer, and Doomfist and Sombra. Those type of characters are going to be focusing you. Their goal is to kill the healers first. And if you're running a Zenyatta, you are especially vulnerable to everything in this meta, and it's very difficult to try and save you. So you need to play around corners, play next to health packs, and play with your other healer. And in turn, you can play with them and keep them alive as well. And once they dive on you, you can then just apply Discord Orb, you can apply Sleep or Anti-Nade, and you can then take care of it yourself and then be able to focus the tanks or the rest of your team, because they're going to need the heals too. So, when you're playing on 2 CP maps especially, except for Volskaya, on that last point, there are a lot of spawn doors and corners that you can play on. The enemy team, if they dive you, you can just retreat back to spawn, get full health, and then be able to re-engage once they have left. This is a really easy strategy I don't see a lot of people use at lower ranks. It's very good at higher ranks because the enemy team can't kill you in the spawn door, you get full health and you can retreat, and it's much quicker doing that and instead of maybe just dying and then respawning, especially if it's an overtime situation, because your spawn is going to be way longer on a 2 CP map. If the enemy team has a lot of people on point in an overtime, or just when they're capturing the point, depending on how many people on the enemy team that are on a 2 CP map point, your spawn is going to be way longer. So if you die, you're going to be coming back a long time, especially if there's a lot of people on the point. Rather than doing that, you can just go back in a spawn, heal, and re-engage or retouch the point or whatever you need to do. It takes up a lot less time by doing that. So play less aggro at higher ranks. I think it's much easier to punish a aggro support player if you're at a higher rank. People are definitely better mechanically, better coordination. So you want to play safer, play in the back more. At lower ranks, you can definitely get away with being more aggressive and making plays and doing damage because it's not something that they can punish as easily, and also it's also not something that people are going to expect either. People don't expect a Zenyatta going around corners and doing right clicks. On the enemy team on really high level play, I think the DPS heroes have a huge advantage over you, especially in this meta, and so they'll be able to take care of you much easier than you can of them unless you land a really good sleep dart, or your Ana does a really good sleep dart, or maybe a really good volley from Zenyatta, but most often it's in your disadvantage. So playing around those corners, health packs with your support is more important than ever as you are trying to climb to Grandmaster and beyond, so make sure that you do that. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you guys took some things away from it, especially if you're a Zenyatta player. I think this is some really good advice for you. Hopefully next meta we will see Zenyatta played a lot more. He's definitely fallen off. I love playing him, but he definitely seems a lot weaker at the moment. He's still really good because his ultimate is really good, but it is really difficult to stay alive against a Sombra and Doomfist meta. Anyways, that's all for today, and I'll see you guys next time.